afternoon, everyone. Hope you're doing great. I'm Helene. This is Cabin Fever Crochet. It's good to be back, good to be outside, spend some time with you. Is this straight? It's hard to tell when I'm sitting here. It looks kind of crooked. I don't know. We'll just roll with it. Yes, I went to JoAnn 3 times, total of 3 times, and it's not too terribly far, but it is a distance down into Spokane, Washington. It just so happened over the last 10 days I had to make multiple trips. So, of course, I had to go back to JoAnn. And they had some really great sales and coupons to buy online and pick up in store. And then when I went to pick it up, then I received an instant emailed coupon for $5 off the purchase of 10 or more. So it was a nice opportunity to go in and take a look and see everything and touchy-feely. So I'm really hoping that this yarn, the Big Twist Vortex, that I absolutely fell in love with. I love marled, and I love marled gradient, and marled self-striping is one of my favorites. And in my JoAnn tour, I did show this. It's 328 yards for the 5.29 ounce cake. And I broke it down so it works out, I think, so was it 217? 217 sticks in my mind, but that would be for an average 3.5 ounce, 100 gram skein. So that's what it breaks it down to. So it's like a lighter number 4, but it has some nice substance to it, and it felt really soft and squishy in the cake. And I read reviews, but those are all based off of personal taste, right? What we like, if you have sensitive skin or not, which I do, very. So I'm hoping I am going to love this every bit as much as I did in the store when I felt it. And I did not do what I call my compression test, where I'll pinch it just gently between my thumb and forefinger, and then I'll run my fingers down the strand, and that gives me an idea when I compress it a little bit what the texture is going to be like and how soft or coarse it is going to be working it up. First, I was just going to show 2 on camera, the Neon Rainforest with a swatch I worked up already, and the Northern Lights with a couple of different hooks here on camera. There are, I think, a couple other reviews here and there on YouTube, but I had to try them for myself and thought, well, I'm doing that, I might as well give you my 2 cents worth too. And then rank all 7 of them from the softness down to the ones that feel more coarse to me, and why I think that is. Now let's go back outside, take a look in natural lighting at the Vortex I got, along with some other yarn. The lighting is just so much better out there and is pretty true to color on some, and others maybe not as much. I'll insert some pictures that are better. And this color is Starstruck, and this one really struck me. There's just something about this one that I found so soothing yet yummy at the same time, with the berries and the blues, a little green for contrast. I think it is going to make wonderful anything really, but I did buy with a purpose, and I want to make some gift blankets. So that's why I'm going to do with some of it. And then I bought enough for me for some sweaters, because I'm on a quest to start making my own, and I go into that some coming up in another video. And you'll see I'm holding up a sweater, and what the caption says on that. It's kind of sad actually, but you'll see why. But it's my goal to start getting to some of these things. So after I show them to you, I'm going to do a little demo and swatch and just give you my take on it, in case you've been thinking about it and still want to get some while it's still available, or by hopes and prayers that JoAnn makes it. We'll see what happens with that. And this time I got smart. I actually bought enough to make some larger projects if I want to, because in years past I liked all these different colors. I would just buy 1 or 2, and then I have all these oddball ones. So now I have some nice options. All right, so next up, and this is in no particular order, This is Beachy Splash. I was on the fence about this because some of the cakes in there, some were more muted, some looked almost a little like baby colors, and I went in and they still had about 11 of them, so I looked through every single one and I tried to pair the ones together that were the most similar in tone. So I got some that had a little more depth and saturation of color. Ooh, this one, when I first looked at it in the store, this is called Rose Bush. I didn't do the like I just did. Maybe because I gravitate towards these colors and I don't want to get sick of them, tired of them, because I wear so much of that, but it is a really good color for me and I love it. Rose and that going into the little bit of rusty tones, and violet and plum and really pretty teal, green, leaning towards the teal colors, and I just love them all. This was one of the first ones I fell in love with. This is called Super Bloom. Those were completely gone after my first trip, so I really wish that I had one more. If I had one more, I would have enough for 2 projects. My first thought, this would be a really cute blanket to take outside when I go to the lake. Sometimes, I mean, the wind picks up there in the afternoon, even in the summer, and it gets chilly. And sometimes a sweatshirt's just not quite enough. I can make it work if I could find some yarn. I did look on Knit Picks, and their Brava yarn in the worsted is just about the same weight as this, only 2 yards per the entire skein. So I thought if push came to shove, if I needed to, I could get some solid colors that work back to some of these. And you know, some might even be crossover, so wouldn't have to buy too many colors. And they have sales now and then. Knit Picks, We Crochet. It's the same company, but different websites, and they have different things on each that cater to the knitters and then that cater to the crocheters. And the Brava is nice. I have worked with that before. It's very, very reasonable, and it's a nice quality acrylic. So that, and they have tons of colors, so that's definitely an option. There should have been 3 more. Oh, maybe I put it back in the drawer. Oh, silly me. That's the one I think I'm going to demo, so we'll see that upstairs. Okay. This one I really like, and I was tempted to get some for myself. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a gift blanket. And now I don't know. Ooh, you ever do that? Get something intended for someone else and then fall in love and keep it for yourself? Oh boy, how many sweaters do I need? I don't know. We have a pretty long winter. I could justify that easily enough. These are pretty. It goes from kind of a mossy green into turquoise and dark moss, and little going into a little bit of the aqua at the end, called Northern Lights. I think on my JoAnn tour I said Northern Nights. Last summer it was incredible. I was out here at midnight looking at the night sky. It blew me away. You could see oranges and pinks and purples and reds, and then the next night as it faded it was more into these colors. It was spectacular. Nature's art. I mean, just incredible. So I want to make something inspired by that too. But now I'll have to see about this. And I'm like, okay, maybe I have to look and see if I can put together something else for that one gift instead, because depending on what happens with JoAnn, this just may not be available again, whereas other yarns are. I haven't been shopping in almost a year for yarn. In March was the last time I bought more than just say like 1 or 2 skeins here and there for a specific project or to finish up a project. Yeah, I've been good, huh? So with going for almost a year, except for last March, I blew my yarn diet on some of the new Caron Blossom Cakes at Michael's, and I did a video on that too. And I've been using it and working it up. So yeah, I have plenty of yarn to work with, but not something like this and for these specific purposes. So I thought, you know, this may not come around again. This is really the time to get it. So I did my part in a moderate way, anyway, of helping JoAnn hopefully stay afloat. Okay, so this one, and this is Canyon Night. This is nice. This is really good for a guy who is into camo stuff and outdoorsy and, you know, lives lives in our neck of the woods. So I think that'll really be good. And these are, I could see him being really enjoying these colors. It's really pretty, like a blue, gray, charcoal. Interesting colors. Almost a bit of mustard. I don't want to say chartreuse, but kind of leaning mustardy green. If you can see that leaning in this side here. So that's going to be very interesting how these play out and work up. And then you've got a bit of orange and orangish red. So I think those will do real well. And my hands are starting to get really cold out here as the sun is going on the other side. So I'm going to make the rest of these pretty quick. There's only a few to show. And then I'll do that little demo for you. Here we go. The K Plus C yarn, the 100% superwash merino wool. The sale on these, and then I had that $5 when I went and picked up each time. These were $16.99, and they were $9.99 on sale, and then I had that additional coupon that made them like $7.50 each. I mean, you can't beat that. And this, whoa, ooh, I can really use this, and it's chunky. It's not too bulky. It says it's a bulky number 5, and I would describe that more like a chunky weight between a worsted and a bulky yarn, and it's just nice. It's going to be easier for my hands to work with. It's not too bulky. It's soft. It's not stiff. So I got a few of these, and then this one can work back to a scarf that I had, one of Knit Crate's yarns from years ago. And that'll just work back to so many things and so much that I wear. So that'll be great. And then I got another color too. And then this one is it Ivy? Climbing Ivy. I don't know about you, but I have found it not easy to find really good greens. And I like a good green. I like a good olive. And I love that this has some of the sagey and cool, almost leaning into aqua a little bit with these color changes. So have a really nice mix of warm and cool and light and dark that gives so much depth to it. It's going to be great. This is going to be a hat to go with my dewdrop, the Bactus scarf. I'm drawing blank because I'm getting cold. Brain freeze. 2 more. Oh, I pulled these and put them back a couple times, and then I went for it. I got 2 more of this color. This is the Supernova, and it is super soft. Supernova. Oh gosh, JoAnn, I'm rooting for you so much. We all need you, all us crafters and all genres, you know. And I love that JoAnn carries a variety of types of yarn, from your very basics to more of the luxury type of yarn that are actually affordable. So there's everything in between. So whether you're just starting out, or you need practice yarn, or you're making blankets, or you know, whatever it is, you've got that range from A to Z, and there's nothing like JoAnn out there. All right, so Supernova, Super Duper Nova, yes, and this is, and they're all made in Turkey, by the way. This is a number 2 fine weight, but as I mentioned in the JoAnn tour, this is a roving, so it goes from thin, real thin, like a number 2, up to more like a worsted weight. I love that for certain projects because it gives such really cool texture. And back to that depth and dimension and the highs and lows that I like so much. And these colors going in the store made all the difference. My first order, no, I didn't get it because the colors were a little bit different. I wasn't sure if I liked it, how it felt. Then when I went in the store, I'm like, oh, wow, this is amazingly soft. 475 yards per 5.3 ounces. I calculated that out. I think it works out to be about 330 yards, maybe. If I'm wrong, I'll just put that across the screen, but that would be equivalent to per 3.5 ounce, 100 grams. So that is a light, would be equivalent to more like a very light DK, kind of leaning towards the sport weight, but not really, because I can tell that this is going to loft up nicely when it's worked up. Oh, and if you go on JoAnn.com, look up Supernova and just scroll down a few reviews, and someone posted a picture. She knitted scarves in the two, not this color that I got, but the other one that I got. And they look like, oh, she said it's a 2x2 rib stitch. So you knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2. That's easy, and that's a basic. And I'm a really novice knitter. That's something that I could do. So I was inspired by that. And when I see it in person, the colors are just gorgeous. It's like a periwinkle, and there's a little bit of peachy and gorgeous going into that violet again. And yeah, dark and lighter. I've been really into violet lately. Can you tell? Every time I come on. Okay, then here's the second one. But in that picture that the lady posted, that other color, I don't remember the name of it, but wow, that looked neat. That was completely sold out online too, or I would have gotten that one. And I would not have gotten this one, would not have bought that had I not seen her scarf. And because we do have a long winter, and it's cold March, even into April, June, we had really cold June a couple years ago. I was at the farmer's market and I had to pull out my alpaca scarf and hat. So yeah, it just varies. It depends. And it's different here all the time. Weather changes. Can never go by what the weather happens. Shouldn't say never, but most times. Gotta always be prepared around here. So I got this one too, because my point to all that is, because it stays cold going into early spring, but the sun might be shining like it is now, and I want to start having some lighter colors, thinking spring, summer's around the corner, so I want to start going into some of the brighter and lighter colors, but I still need to be warm. So that was my inspiration for buying this, and not always getting, the darker ones that I'm going to live in for 7 months out of the year. And this one is Milky Way Galaxy. And the JoAnn store I go to in North Spokane, Washington on West Francis Street. I think it's the cold doing this. They still had a number of these left. I think I bought two of these, and then 4 of these. And what I'm going to do, and what I need to do right now, is I'm going to take Post-it notes and either like extra stitch markers, or pin them, or put them on the ball band, or tuck them in, or something, so that I know what the idea I have or had when I saw them is what I want to do with them, because 3 months, 6 months, a year from now, I might not remember that, because I'll have been working on and moved on to other things in between. Then when I go back for that, it's like, uh-oh, now why did I buy that? You ever do that? Yeah, so that's my new thing now, is I'm going to start putting together a note with the yarn. Okay, I am just going to swatch 2 different colors, All right, I have Neon Rainforest, which is the one I did not bring out on camera. This is really pretty. Hopefully it's showing up true to color with some hot pinks going into coral pinks and different shades of green. A little bit of turquoise in there too. This one, I had to dig a little bit for it, but I did get a center pull. Not too terribly much, enough to get started with. That's fine for me. It's not a gigantic blob. And then the Northern Lights. And this one had a really nice, easy center pull. It was just a short end like that sticking out. And then I already put in a slip knot and pulled out the rest. There you go. That's what it looks like under OTT lighting, OTT. All right, so one thing I noticed right off, besides the center pull having the two side by side, the blue does feel more soft in the cake. And that just happens sometimes with colors, I've noticed, especially going into the reds, some red base. So I don't want to say this is hard, but it just feels a little bit different to me than the blue. So I will find out how it is when I work them up. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, work up a swatch up off camera, and then I will do this in real time. Drum roll please for the verdict on first up, the Neon Rainforest. All right, I think it works up very pretty color-wise. I like how the color changes are relatively short, so even if you are working a shorter project, you're going to see all the color changes come into play. And if you're working a wider project, then you'll see a lot more changes within each row if you like that. So this is only about 5.5 inches, a little over that wide, and I did a variety of stitches. So at the bottom, oh, and the height, if you want to know the height, how far I went, that was about 6 1/4 there. Okay, so I did 4 rows of double crochet, I think 6 rows of the moss stitch, which is just single crochet, chain 1, skip 1, single crochet, and then I did 2 rows of cluster stitches. Oh, excuse me, I did 3 rows of cluster stitches and 1 row of cross stitches. And I used 2 different hooks. So both are by Furls. This is the Streamline Metal, and this is the Streamline Resin. They are both 5.5 millimeter hooks. You can see the heads are a little bit different. I really like the metal as far as slip goes for most yarns, maybe not super slippery yarns like bamboo or something, but for most yarns. And for a resin that can sometimes get a little bit sticky, they both worked really well. Of course, the metal is going to have more slip. I could go a little bit faster, but there really wasn't any drag on the resin. So these 2 rows I worked in the Streamline Metal, and the 3rd row I worked in the resin. So comparing side by side, this is the front of it, that's the back, and here's the front. And then I worked this last row in the resin also. And what I noticed a difference in feel is that it is more soft in the larger stitches, which to me, because that allows the fiber to bloom a little bit. And this actually calls for a 6.5 millimeter, so USK hook. To me seems really large for this yarn at about what I say 217 yards per 3.5 ounces. And again, this is a 5-ounce cake. That seems pretty large, but that's going to vary on the project if you want your stitches closer together or more open. And it's calling for a 5.5 millimeter needle, and I used a 5.5 hook. And I'm happy with the closeness of the stitches, but I could see going up to a J hook, and that will vary on your own personal crocheting tension. I think it works up very pretty. Do I think this is a premium acrylic? No, it is definitely not a premium acrylic, but it is not a real, I would say, budget acrylic either maybe a little somewhere in the middle. And we'll see then now how the Northern Lights compares if that is softer, because it feels absolutely lovely in the cake. I do think though, as I had thought initially, that once this is washed it's going to work, become a lot softer. So it's just a matter if your hands can handle any bit of coarseness as you're doing a project, especially if it's going to be a blanket or larger project. And because I do have sensitive hands, and so I'm already getting a bit of a mark, which I tend to do when I crochet, but I didn't do much of it, so it's already leaving a mark. I have compression gloves, the copper fit, and they have enough texture on the palm for grip, but it doesn't interfere with my crochet, and the outer material has a lot of slip to it, and it's enough though, it comes up high enough, they're not super long, but just enough to protect my fingers. So I would probably use those when I am working with this yarn, especially in my left hand, because that's the one where the yarn is passing through. All right, so now I'm going to test Northern Lights. I'll start like I did before with my metal hook. Yeah, this one's softer. I can definitely feel the difference. I would say maybe 50%, about half the amount softer. And this feels more to my liking. Let's see, how about a comparison of this to two other brands and acrylic fibers? For example, Lion brand Heartland is in my top 3 of my favorite acrylic yarns. It's very soft, it has some substance to it, it's a little bit thicker than this. And I like Hobby Lobby. I love this yarn. Some of theirs in that line are softer than others, but taking the prints, some of those tend to be a little bit softer, like the heathered print. That is what this reminds me of, but some are a little more coarse, like the rainforest, and then one is just really soft like this. So I would say that's in between one of the softer I love this yarns and Lion brand Heartland. If that makes sense, and so I hope that helps give you an idea of my take on it anyway. I'm definitely enjoying the feel and working with this one a lot more, so I can crochet a lot faster with the metal. Here we are now. These look really consistent actually between the two hooks, so I don't know if it was my tension, I just relaxed more as I went up, or if it was just the yarn because it was a little more coarse and not as easy for me to work with. This is more along the lines of what I prefer, what I'm used to. So that's very interesting. Now I really want to get some of the others and test them out. Yeah, this just smooths, goes along nicely, and this seems like it's going to frog easily, and I hope it wears really well, especially for the larger projects. Put all that time, work, and love into it. Okay, so there's cross stitch there too, little swatch. So this one's definitely more of a gradient, as we could see right off, and more subtle. I just think that is gorgeous. I like that a lot. I would definitely wear this as a sweater, and that's going to have some nice drape to it also, or you want to work up maybe some amigurumi in that, or whatever it is that you want more sturdiness to it. But I do like this one. That's quite lovely. And the yarn pulls out very smoothly, and frogging wise comes out really easily using a variety of stitches. Yeah, that comes out really well. So that's good. I'm glad I got it. Not so thrilled with the neon rainforest, and but I think I'll probably wash the blanket before I gift that. And I'm glad I did not get extra to make something for myself like I was thinking about, because I think that would be a really fun piece to wear during springtime and cool summer evenings. All right, so we're back to these 5, and then there's the neon rainforest and the northern lights I just showed. And even though we'll be talking about softness in this segment, I just wanted to let you know that the colors are not showing true and washed out too. So ranking them, Northern Lights, soft. And then up next is Canyon Night. This one is just as soft. It's really nice. Be interesting though is to get into some of the other colors if they are the same, because it really did vary in different colorways. And even this one, the Super Bloom, varied with some of the different colors too. All right, so we've got Northern Lights and Canyon Night, the softest. And this one also, the Starstruck, that is pretty soft. Just slightly less, but not a huge difference. I would wear that as a garment also. And then Super Bloom, that's pretty soft too. So that's real close. These two are about the same. That's real close. All right. And then Rosebush, that has slightly more coarseness to it. And I even hesitate using coarse because it's really not that coarse. It didn't like irritate. I would say that the Neon Rainforest, and then there's the Neon Rainforest, the coarsest out of them all. So I'm thinking it has to be within the dye because it's all the same type of yarn, just different colors. But this isn't as much as the Neon Rainforest. I would say it's somewhere in between that and these others that are much softer. And then this is Beachy Splash, and that's about the same as Rosebush. If I'm working a larger project, want to put those compression gloves on just to protect my skin. These other, plus the Northern Lights, I would not need to. And the reason that you see some have the ball bands on them and some do not, or the cake bands rather. The ones with the cake bands, which then including the Northern Lights, so that's 4 out of 7, all had a really easy center pull with just a short piece of yarn sticking out. It was right there, easy to find. And that might vary from skein to skein, or excuse me, cake to cake within the same color. I'm just saying of the ones that I grabbed. All right, so this had a piece, small piece that easily popped out. Rainforest was okay, and neither of these I could, excuse me, these two, the Canyon Night and Rosebush, I could not find easily a center pull, so I went from the outside. I prefer center pulls, but that's okay. That's not a deal breaker. Could always put those on a spindle thing for cakes. That would work too if I needed something to hold it. I just, depending on where I'm sitting, I just don't like my cakes bouncing around, and I like to easily be able to feed my yarn to my working yarn as I'm working. That's just my personal preference. All right, so that's my take on all these cakes. I am glad I bought them for the most part. I think I have quite enough to work with. It's interesting though, sometimes you just don't really know until you start working it up. All right, but the colorways are really quite beautiful, and I think this could be useful yarn for a lot of projects. So. All right, well, take good care, everyone. Okay, I hope to see you again next time. Always fun being here and having you here. All righty, have a great rest of your day and week ahead. All right, take good care.